Hi. So we're trying to finish this up. If we can, just turn this wall into bedrock. And if we can, if we've got time afterwards, we still need to find the blue chest for, Dreamlight Valley. I actually got both kitty food containers full. Really happy about that. Except for that, I gotta get my husband to fix the one because it keeps falling apart in the middle. It's just a twisted on thing, but it's not the best design. But it's, just a twisted on thing. And, it keeps twisting off instead of on. I got kind of upset yesterday because, I could have finished this, but I could have finished this, but there's a small problem of I was tired. Actually, okay, so I could have finished this, but, dinner, and then and then I got the whole entire chapter, figured out so I can piece it together today. 3 pages are, 3 of the pages got done yesterday, figured out and everything. I just gotta piece it together, So it's really easy. It's, I can do it. Just, I've gotta have the time. And that was one of the projects that I had been avoiding. The other one is the litter boxes. Like I said, you put on some music, you pretend it's a treasure hunt. It's good. Of course, you gotta have a really good imagination to pretend your litter box is a treasure hunt, but it's Monday, so they pick up the garbage on Tuesdays. Gotta make sure that do the litter boxes. Other than that, hasn't really been anything going on in my life. Well, I'm like, what did I say about, hold on. Okay, so I'm like 19 pages from being done, but 3 of those pages are about to go away, so 16. I mean, not being done, sorry. I know, maybe at least one of you got really excited for a second there. No, I'm not done yet. I'm about 19 pages away from being done with 200 pages out of the 428. So I was telling you 428 because I remembered it was 420 something, and then I actually looked the other day and I was like, Oh my gosh, I wasn't, I wasn't lying. I wasn't wrong, you know. It was just a guess, but it was like, I'm not wrong. Wow. Because, I found out it really was 428 pages. And it's like, that was wow. That was so cool. Um, so the kitties got breakfast this morning, but Mama didn't. So I might end up getting up in the middle of this and making me some food too. I don't actually like doing that. I like, showing that I'm moving the whole entire time. But, sometimes you're hungry. You have to go upstairs. You have to, I actually had people watching my stream yesterday, and a new viewer. Oh, he said I could call him Pan. Yeah. So a new viewer, Pan, and so I revealed what the secret code was. Because when I say I need to go upstairs, that's where the bathroom is. But like people don't like to talk about the bathroom for some reason, and so just in case I have any of them watching me, I just say I have to go upstairs. But then to some new viewers, it's like, why is she going upstairs? Why does she have to go upstairs? So, I don't know, but anyway, I really have nothing to talk about today. Well, I was just listening to my story. It sounded pretty good. Oh, so I set it up. I set it up to where the rest of the story, the chapter that I'm working on right now, I set it up to where the rest of it sounds like she was riding her motorcycle instead of her horse, because I figured out that she might be able to take Angel to town and get home on time, but it's not likely at all. So I'm changing it to her motorcycle. I loved the idea of her being on the horse, but I'm going to change it to the motorcycle. So that means that wherever it says that she took Angel to, to town, I'm going to have to make it the motorcycle. Now, he can't bribe a motorcycle, so I figured that Angel would still be very protective. That's her horse. And so he'd have to bribe her with 2 carrots. I mean, Angel's a boy. Sean would have to bribe Angel with 2 carrots, so he wouldn't come to her rescue when he goes and captures her in the garage. Now, writing the garage part was a little hard because I already had it, that they were out at the stables, but I figured it out. So that part of the story should sound perfectly fine. And I just got to go and fix the rest of it. Although I may leave the horse thing in there because I kind of changed the part where they go off on the horses. I changed it like to a magic carpet ride kind of thing, but it's a movie theater seat. It's a floating movie theater seat, but it's the size of a bed. And I'm not sure I explained it quite right to where everybody would understand, but hopefully. Something I was kind of thinking of doing today is going over to but I think I'll get hooked on that too. Anyway, something I was kind of thinking of doing today is working on the fireworks display. I think I gotta fix it though, because the way that I have it right now doesn't quite work. And then there's the other question of, do I even have the idea of what of what the name of the file is? Off the top of my head? No. This is a little weird to me because we're underground. Well, I mean, we're underwater. And I'm not feeling like I'm drowning. Usually, like, if the person in the movie is underwater and they look like they're drowning, like the movie San Andreas, the daughter does almost drown. The movie Now You See Me? If it's not Now You See Me, then it's definitely Now You See Me too, but I'm pretty sure it's Now You See Me. You know, they let the piranhas in, and, and, you know, she's in a water tank, and they let the piranhas in, and, she got out of the handcuffs or whatever it was, but she couldn't get out. They say that was a real scene where she really was drowning, and that anyway, they say that's a real scene where she actually was drowning. that is the case, why would they have kept it in the movie? I don't know. But anyway. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, I've got nothing to talk about. Watch, I'll find something to talk about, you know, like when I decide that I want to, turn off the game and do something else. But because that's what happened yesterday. I'm like, I've got nothing to talk about. Just nothing. And then all of a sudden I found 50 million things to talk about when we're trying to close the stream. Not literally 50 million, just, you know, I found a ton of things to talk about. Well, this isn't my, you know, isn't my story to tell, but John Snyder and his wife Dee Dee went to Hawaii recently. If you don't know who John Snyder is, okay, so there's at least 2 John Snyders in the world. I think they said that there's like 4 or more, actually. And the funny thing is that, this John Snyder knows most of them. Or all of them. Anyway. This is the one that played Bo Duke on The Dukes of Hazzard. And, they said that they did the, you know, the tour of, you know, the Hiroshima, I think it was. You know, that was yesterday, that was hours ago. But I think it was Hiroshima. And, they said next time, you know, that the next day they were going on a helicopter tour. Or that day, or something like that. Anyway, they were going to try and go on the helicopter tour again, but it was too windy the day that they tried to go. And you know, it's like, they said it still smells like, gas or petroleum or something like that, in that area, because like so much of it got spilt into the ocean or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble today. I do not actually have any water next to me either. I do have 2 empty bottles, but, that doesn't count. I drank up all my water yesterday. Not, all my water. Of course, I have some more bottles in the kitchen, but I can't actually drink the water from the house because it's got something in it that my stomach doesn't like. So it's like, I was like, oh yay, well, we're gonna have water that I can drink, and no. I don't know why, but I can drink the water at my my mother and father-in-law's house just fine, but over here causes tummy problems. Okay. I am still trying my hardest to actually get the book done before before Grandma's birthday party, but I don't think it's going to happen. Because, like I said, I still have 228 pages left after the 19 get done. So, I don't know that that's going to happen. I'm sure there's somebody watching this stream at some point that's like, you can do it, you can do it. I'm going to try. I really am. I really am. Oh, okay. So, I was watching a video the other day, and I don't know how long the race was. I think it said 10K race. So, I don't exactly know what that means. But, and I haven't seen the other half. Because you're supposed to be doing 2 races. Anyway, Chris from Park Pass, their YouTube channel is Park Pass. They go to Disneyland a lot and other theme parks. They've even gone to Nefteline in the Netherlands, And if I'm saying that incorrectly, I am so sorry. But that's the way it sounds when Chris says it. So anyway, he was doing the 10K race for the Disney Run, and it was cool because they got to go running through California Adventure and Disneyland, and some of Anaheim. So it was like, really cool. And they had stands along the way, for water. And I don't think I could do that for 2 reasons. One, I don't run, and 2, more important, just as importantly, I would have to stop and go to the bathroom halfway through, or, not even halfway through. I don't have a very, I don't know if it's I don't have a very big bladder, or if it's just, I'm getting older, and, our family just seems to have to go to the bathroom a lot more, on Mama's side of the family. So, like, Mama used to tell the story that, like when they were kids, they'd have to pull over every once in a while to go, to go to the bathroom. And, it seemed like it was a lot to my grandpa. So he'd be grumble, 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 you know. And then when he got older, he had to pull over a lot so he could go. And and for some reason that reminded me of um one time, you know, years ago, apparently my other grandpa, my dad, my dad's dad, um I don't think he really meant it, but he said something like, "When I die, just, bury me in a well somewhere." Um, it sounded better when Dad told it, but um, the the cemetery in Fairfield, California, got so full of people that they couldn't put them in the ground anymore. They had to build a wall, and so that's where Grandma and Grandpa Kane are uh, laid to rest in. And when my dad thought of that, we're all kind of upset because of Grandpa not being here, but um, Dad just kind of cracked up. Actually, he did. We were going down a street, and got to the stop sign, and we were about to make a left, and Dad just started laughing. Actually, I might have been before Grandpa went. Makes more sense for after, though. I don't know. Because I don't know why we. Okay, what I'm saying is, I don't know why we would have all been in the car together if it's when I think it was. Anyway. Oh, and if you did not know it, Chuck Norris just passed away. Um, a day or two ago, I think. And he was 86. And apparently he was still kind of young and nimble like Dick Van Dyke, because apparently on his birthday when he turned 86, he was still, martial arting, sparring with his trainer. They said something about on his on his YouTube channel or his Snapchat, or basically on his social media, this is what he had on there, and I didn't know he even had one. So I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's a guy that looks like, um, there's a movie called Married to the Mob. And it's got, I can't think of her name right now, Michelle Pfeiffer and Matthew Modine and, well, the guy who plays Porthos, Oliver Platt, and, and the guy, I think he's the one that plays, I can't remember the character's name, but, if you remember the TV show Quantum Leap, the guy who's helping Sam. But I cannot remember his character's name right now. But anyway, it's got all those people. Oh, and Alec Baldwin, I think? But he's only in there for a little bit. Anyway, somewhere in that movie is a scene where they're trying to, where the bad guys are trying to unalive the mafia boss. And they're trying to unalive the mafia boss, and they're like going down this road, and it ends up and one of them looks like Chuck Norris, and I don't know if it's like him but like unaccredited or something like that, but that guy really did kind of look like Chuck Norris. Maybe not dead on, but looked very much like him, so I don't know if it was him or not. But he had a gun. Chuck Norris didn't, well, on screen anyway, he didn't usually use guns that I've noticed. Like Walker Texas Ranger, he had the gun, but he liked to use his martial arts skills on bad guys. That's another thing. I wish that they would have on Samsung TV Plus a Walker Texas Ranger channel. We used to have that on something. I think it was before we had Samsung TV Plus. But we had it on something, and we were able to watch Walker Texas Ranger, but we didn't watch it as much as, the other channels. And on Samsung TV Plus, we usually watch, I know it's gonna sound silly, but we usually watch Nash Bridges and Murder, She Wrote, so. It's gonna sound silly to some people because they're like, those are such old shows, I've never heard of them. Or those are such old shows that, why would you want to watch those now? There's so much better stuff out there. Well, I don't believe that some of the stuff out there is better. Um, Not saying it's horrible, I'm just saying that, um, I'm not like saying it's horrible and I would never watch it or anything like that. But I didn't really have a want to watch it when it was on. So like everybody was super interested in Supernatural. Oh, okay. Anyway, everybody was like super interested in Supernatural, and like I guess the commercial just didn't do it justice because I wasn't sitting there going, I want to watch that. I was going, okay. I'm like, that Superman show, Smallville. I really didn't have a want to watch that either. But a lot of people liked it, so just my TV watching needs are, different from other people, I think. Because, I still like watching the Dukes of Hazzard. I still like watching the TV show Elf every once in a while. Whatchamacallit? Full House. It's like I had it in my head, the words were in my head, but they weren't coming out of my mouth. Full House. The A-Team. Although I got disappointed in that last season. It's like all of a sudden it was, more of a what the heck than, yeah, I want to watch the rest of that, Just, it just was like disappointing. The rest of it, you're like, ooh. And then that season, it was like, why did I bother watching this? Oh, I'm still into watching Blue Bloods. And, I just had another one in my head. Oh, well, I really love watching a TV show called Initial D. It's basically, it's basically like a Fast and the Furious kind of, animated show. I think it's Japanese animated. Because, when Itsuki is like, when Itsuki's going, oh no! He like does that Dragon Ball Z thing that I can't stand. I'm sorry. I can't stand it. When they like way over exaggerate their, but it's just him that does that. So I can go with it. But like, that's from 2010, and it's, like I said, Japanese animated, and I would love to have season 5 in English. I think it's the last season. If there's a season 6, please let me know. But anyway, I would like to have season 5 and 6 in, 5 and, the fabled 6 in, because I don't know that it exists, in English. And I was thinking up a really great storyline where all of a sudden there's this black car Maybe it doesn't have to be black. Maybe it could be, some other color. But anyway, black would be like super mysterious. And maybe it, hypes up, maybe everyone's hyping up that, this is the car to beat. This is definitely the car to beat. And then it turns out that it's his girlfriend. And, part of the reason why she went to Tokyo for school was that she, um, is that she, um, wanted to learn how to drive. Because I don't know why, but in that show, you have to, like, okay, like, Itsuki's girlfriend, I don't know if it's a girl who is a friend or, I mean, because they seemed to be getting along really well. He wasn't making those rookie mistakes like he did earlier in the series. He was being a great boyfriend. But then she had to go back to where she used to live. And, so instead of trying to keep in touch, they have telephones, hello. But instead of like trying to keep in touch, they just kind of parted ways. So then Itsuki doesn't have a girlfriend anymore. And, but anyway, for some reason, she couldn't get her license just because they were in, they were in the place that Itsuki and Takumi grew up instead of the one where they grew up originally. I don't understand how Japan really works, but I don't understand why you would not, like if you're here in America and you move from New York City to San Francisco, you can still get your license when you get to San Francisco, So it's confusing me why they wouldn't be able to get their license just because they moved to a new place. But maybe it's like maybe it's like how people that come to America from other places, they have to get a green card to work here. Maybe it's like that. And I'm suddenly wondering, is a green card actually green? I don't know. For some reason, that reminded me of this book my dad has. It's either called When Do Fish Sleep or Do Fish Sleep. I can't remember. But I figure it's a whole entire book of, those weird things that you think of when, like all those things that you think of when you're sitting here playing video games and you don't really have anything to think about. So you think about those things. Well, I don't want to turn this political, but for some reason, there's a lot of people saying, yeah, let's buy Greenland. And then there's a whole bunch of people that are against it, and I don't know why. I think it would be cool for America to have Greenland, but on the other hand, I'm like, do we need Greenland? Yeah, it's a little closer to places like Russia that may be plotting things, but what if all the problems are Russia thinks we're plotting things, and so they're getting ready, with their military and all that, just in case. And then we think that they're plotting stuff, so we're getting ready with our military, just in case. And then, some other country comes along and, starts floating rumors on both sides, and that's what starts World War III, I think that would be bad. And what if, seriously, nobody's plotting anything? I mean, the last thing that came up, that I remember anyway, is Russia picking on Ukraine. Okay, so I don't know if we went in and helped on that one even, but I think it's done and over with. I don't know. I don't watch the news because I think I would get really super depressed. And I'm just kind of thinking that I wonder how many people that get depressed watch the news. It may not be related at all, but it could be. Or how many people that get depressed like that don't go out and try to see the moon every once in a while. Because I've noticed with me that if I don't go and see the moon every once in a while, that I'm like, I get upset, I get irritable, I'm just not a happy camper. So I think I need to do that. There's a possibility I can see it out the kitty bedroom, but I don't think so. I think it's kind of like a cell signal thing. Like the moon has a connect. I have a connection with the moon or something. Not literally, but when I was a kid, Dad would go and point out the moon and make it feel really special. So, I think it's like that. It's like when you watch your favorite movie and maybe you remember the first time you watched it, or it just gives you that warm, happy feeling. Or maybe you don't watch TV and you do some kind of art, and drawing makes you feel really good. I don't know, because I have always been a TV watcher, so I can't think, I don't really understand when people don't like watching TV. Or you're listening to your favorite music, sometimes those things might help. And then, of course, there's doctors, just in case you can't get back to that warm, fuzzy feeling, But, I'm trying to create content to make you feel happy. think that's my ultimate goal, is to make people happy. You know, like, you're watching my videos and then you find out, look, there's another human that is just like me, trips over her own 2 feet. Literally, I was at Costco with my husband, Saturday. Saturday, and I don't know what happened. It was like one of my feet went in the wrong spot, so the other foot was like, where do I go? For a sec. So I was like a little off balance, and I don't know why. It's probably because I don't get up enough, but like I just didn't know why. It was weird. I think I will get more of the story done today if I just do an hour of this. So that means that we'll end the stream in about 10 minutes. I think. Because then I'll have enough time to do Dreamlight Valley also. But it's only going to be 9 o'clock when we end this stream. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll go a little longer and then do Dreamlight Valley. But the problem is that Dreamlight Valley is another one of those that that could keep me on for a very long time. So right now in Dreamlight Valley, I'm trying to plant as much asparagus as I can to fill in 20 floors of, each floor of the 20 floors has the one green chest for asparagus. So I'm trying to fill all of those in. I really wish that would quit happening. Anyway, so I'm trying to fill all of those in, and then, oh, interesting. And then I'm gonna, get the next thing that needs to be planted, which, I believe was barley. Yeah, it was barley, because that's what I planted. Anyway, so then there's barley, and then, I think there's bell pepper and beetroot. Wait, that should be beetroot and then bell pepper. Wait, beetroot. Yeah, beetroot is BEE, and then bell is BELL. I think I have it backwards. I think I have it backwards. Yeah, I think okay. Well, what I wanted to do was get this all figured out along the side here, and then I want to figure it out on the side over there, but not today, or not right now anyway. I kind of am going with if I get the 3 pages done, then I just got 7 more to do. Or if I get the next chapter done, whichever one I want to go with, because it could be that it's super easy. It could be that it's not super easy. I don't know. Because if it's super easy, then, let's finish. I mean, let's get it done. But if it's not super easy, like, there's a lot of, Sean said this, and then, what Sean said, and then, Ashley answered back, but it's like, like, say, something about, like, Samson did this, Sean said, except for I try not to say said, I say Sean replied, Sean commented, something like that. But we'll just stick with said for now. But, like, Samson, walked outside, Sean said, and, would you like to go to the movies? He invited, and then, and, oh, good boy, because Samson came back in, something like that, and, I don't usually talk about Samson, which is kind of stupid, because, Samson was in that one scene, or, Samson was supposed to be in that one scene, and I don't know if he actually was or not. It was supposed to, okay, so it was supposed to be that Sean and Sean's in his room and he's like sitting on the floor with his back against his bed. Or maybe he's, sitting on the bed and still able to pet Samson because Samson's a Saint Bernard or something like that. No, he's a black lab. But he's, like the he's the older black lab that isn't necessarily skinny anymore. I literally based him off of a black lab that we knew in South Lake Tahoe. I mean, that black lab, I don't remember what his name was. It might have been Samson. But that black lab was like the size of a pig. One of those pigs that you could probably ride if you tried hard enough. He was a big dog. And, we'd go over there every once in a while. And, just to talk, because they used to be my husband's neighbors when he lived in that trailer park. And, anyway, so, it's a big dog, he's a big dog. So, if he's still alive, I doubt he's still alive. That was a long time ago. And he was an elderly dog at the time, so. And I based Samson off of him. So, I think I think Samson in my stories, he's a big dog, but I think he'd be more lean. He'd be skinnier, and, because the thing is that Sean is good at raising dogs. Yeah, that's something else I gotta put into my stories. Like, when did he get Samson? Has he had Samson since? Has he had Samson since he was 3 years old, or has he had him less time? I don't know. Because when Chantel was not born yet, when Chantel was not born yet, that's when they bought the original house. And oh, okay. Anyway, they bought the original house when Chantel wasn't born yet because for some reason she was having a little bit of complications with the pregnancy, so she had to be wheelchair bound. And you know, they've got all these puppies for the kids to play with, and they were all at St. Bernard's. Because I loved the idea of St. Bernard's for some reason. But I don't think I could have one because of, you know, that they have this stereotypical droll factor, you know. But not, I found out that not all St. Bernards are like that. There is a version of St. Bernard that does not drool like that. And, you know, if we ever got crazy enough to have a dog again, you know, after we don't have Sam anymore, which probably wouldn't happen, but, not the not having Sam anymore, but the getting a St. Bernard. You know, if that ever happened, I think I would, get that version. Actually, if we get a, if we get a, you know, if we got a dog after we don't have Sam anymore, we would probably get something. I mean, I would want to get something smaller like a miniature schnauzer. Because I know I can walk a miniature schnauzer. I don't know that I can walk a, you know, I don't know that I can walk a St. Bernard or a Black Lab or, you know, I just don't know. And, so when they first got Brady, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, when they first got Brady, it was, you know, he was an English gentleman and he walked very well on leash. And then now, all of a sudden, for some reason, he pulls a little bit. So every time I walk him, I tell him, don't pull. And pull back on the leash a little bit. Not trying to choke him or anything like that. Just, you know, trying to teach him don't pull. Because my in-laws are older than my parents, which I think is weird because I'm older than my husband. But, yeah. Mom just turned 65. I think that's kind of weird. But she just turned 65, and then Dad just turned 71, I think. And did I get invited to any big birthday party for Dad? I don't think so. But that's okay. I'll be able to visit with them for Grandma's birthday, and you know, the thing is, I threw a fit. I really did. I was crying. I was upset. There was just no fixing me kind of thing. You know, no making it better. Ice cream might have helped, but we didn't know that ice cream existed yet. Um, Not ice cream didn't exist in our heads. It was that the Great Value ice cream didn't exist. Oh, and I found out that there was more flavors than I thought there were. There was at least 8. They've got Rocky Road and like I said, I think there was something with peanut butter and chocolate. Couldn't find it though. But anyway, I just stuck with chocolate. It's like if I can't find that other one that I was looking at, getting chocolate. So, the problem is that every little, it's only $1.87 for nice ice cream. It is nice ice cream. And, I like it. Some people out there might say, Great Value doesn't taste good. Well, yeah, it does, actually. I wouldn't lie to you. It actually does taste good. It tastes like regular ice cream. And compared to the I think it's dairy-free stuff that I was having before, it's a lot better. We got a thing of that ice cream one time, and we got a problem with throwing things away when we bought them and spent a lot of, seemingly a lot of money on them, and then they just don't taste good. And if I would have bothered to try it sooner, we probably could have gotten our money back. But like I said, it was the sugar-free stuff, or ice cream zero or something like that. I know it's a Coke thing, but something like that. And it just was not good. It tasted okay though, it tasted okay when I had it before, but that one just was not good. So I don't know if it was a bad expiration date or what. I think I checked it and it was still in date, but I don't know. It just tasted bad. So, anyway, one of the people I watch for Disneyland content, and I get upset at him sometimes because he doesn't go on the rides. He, goes in the line for a red hot minute to see, how long it's going to take to get to the ride vehicle, but that's about it. He likes to do park science where he's telling us how long it's going to take to get to the vehicle, and that way if you want to go on that ride or not. And it's some of us are not pretty princesses and don't mind waiting in line. There's a bunch of people out there who are pretty princesses. Well, princesses and princesses and princes, that think that they need to be at the front of the line now, and they just got in, they just got in the line. But, his show is mostly for them. You know, the ones that don't really, they're not there because it's Disney and it's a Disney ride. They're there because it's an amusement park and there is a ride there, if that makes any sense. It does to me, but like if you go to a Six Flags, most of their roller coasters, you could see the ground, and it scares the HE double hockey sticks out of me. I have only been to a Six Flags amusement park a couple of times because our Marine World turned to a Six Flags, and I don't exactly like that. Basically, they chased off all the animals. I mean, they're not, out there running around, loose or anything. You don't have to worry about tigers or lions getting you, just so everybody knows. But, they got relocated to zoos and stuff, and it's like some people, that was their only way to see a, wild animal. And the whole thing about Marine World was that it was promoting awareness of endangered species. So, like, Bengal tigers and probably some of those animals in the rainforest, and parrots and the other talking birds. Maybe that's just parrots. I have no idea. Anyway, there was a whole bunch of more animals in there. Butterflies. They had a butterfly exhibit. They also had a water skiing show. I don't know if they still have that, but that was really cool. I mean, I'm kind of thinking that the one at Universal Studios was, maybe cooler, but the fact that it was, right there, close to where I live was even better. Because Universal Studios is at the bottom, well, almost the bottom of California. It's toward the bottom of California. And I was at the top of California at the time. Not the exact top. Well, okay, I was about an hour away from San Francisco. I keep saying that, a lot of people know where San Francisco and Sacramento are. And if you don't know where Sacramento is, shame on you. That's the capital. But, I don't know where. I mean, if you've never heard of Sacramento, shame on you, because that's the capital of California. Which everybody keeps saying it should be LA. And I'm like, okay, so if they divided California into 2 or 3 pieces, the capital could be LA, or at least LA area for the bottom half, and then I don't know what for the middle half. I know there's stuff, but when you're on the 5 or the The 395 question mark? I don't know what that other road is. Unless it's the 395. Anyway, when you're on that road, you're like, okay, I guess we're going longer then. Because it's 9:14 and we're not done with this project. Anyway, when you're going down that road, it just looks like there's a whole lot of nothing. And, there are some things. In fact, there was I don't remember it actually saying Denny's, but I was a lot younger, so maybe I just don't know. But anyway, there was a diner along the 5, and we stopped there, and it took a picture of the bird on the wall, and I think that would be cool to see if I could get that picture again, but we won't go down the 5 because there's like not enough bathrooms and stuff. Or at least there wasn't back when. And literally the one time we went, there was a gas station on there was a gas station just outside of Fairfield where we started out, and there was one at the other end in LA Anaheim area, and that was it. So then I think the second or third time we went to Disneyland, it was the second or third time there was a gas station halfway there. So yeah, it was interesting. And then the last time we went to Disneyland, we got stuck on the Grapevine. It's just a big hill or a piece of mountain where you go up and over, and then you're in the area to go to LA or Disneyland or wherever you need to go. But you had to get up and over first, and the van conked out. It's like, nope, I'm done. Actually, the transmission messed up, so like we were stuck in the middle of the we're stuck in the middle of the road. It's like a 4-lane road, and we're if you count the inside where the where there's the divider, and then the other side of the road going back the other way. If you count the one closest to that guardrail as one, and then no, it wasn't even that really, because we pulled over to the side of the road on that side, and we pulled over to the side. Yeah, because it was an 8-lane road, 4 going in one direction, 4 going in the other direction, and then it split for some reason. And so anyway, we were, if you count where you can pull off on, and pull off the road, kind of, but on the wrong side, because usually you pull off on the right side, but we couldn't get to the right side. We pulled over to the left, and so if you count that if you count the lane that is next to that as 1, then we were in the 2. And then, the next lane would be 3, and then the lane, where you should have been able to pull off on the side of the road would be 4, the slow lane. So we're in the second to fast lane. And it was not exactly fun. And then my mom was like, well, just go to the hotel room. And no, Mama wasn't like that. Her friend George was. I was gonna say our friend George, but I didn't like George. George was treating my mom like his wife, and I don't think it went to kisses or anything like that, but he was definitely... Oh, it's this side that we need to... I don't think it was all the way to kisses. She definitely did not feel those feelings toward him, but I'm pretty sure that he was trying to, get, I'm pretty sure that he was trying to, be the husband that she needed, It's like, my mama did not need a man to complete her, but she did need a bigger income in the house. So it was weird because, some of the people at church were, talking. And it's like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be Christians, Not supposed to talk about somebody behind their back. But, yeah. I ended up having to, send her off to Grandma and Grandpa's house. They lived in Arizona. I'm sorry, Arizona, but I don't like Tucson because of what happened. My aunt needed a liver. My aunt needed a liver or a kidney. No, I think it was a liver. Anyway, and they, they said that she should be okay, waiting for this liver, but the problem is that 3 days later she was gone. And then Mama, they didn't pay attention to that she had diabetes, so then, when she got a cold, it, kind of took over. She may have had COVID, but I don't think she did. Anyway, I kept telling my husband, I want to go. I want to go to see Mom, and we couldn't do it. Or maybe I kept thinking it. But anyway, we couldn't do it because we're stuck at Walmart, so... If I would have known then what I know now, I would have just said, screw Walmart, I don't care. My mom was more important. But, yeah, so we didn't get to... Good, okay. I don't know what kind of spawner that was. I don't really want to know. So we got one cat who really, literally runs in his sleep. We got another cat that snores. You know what? That's not helping. It's really weird, when she snores, because she sounds like she's kind of talking in her sleep. Yes, I have a point here. She sounds like she's talking in her sleep, but I know she's snoring. Okay, maybe I won't find it then. But, Sam goes and runs with his little feet, and it's kind of funny to watch. And last time I was like, be nice to brother or something like that. And, it was literally like he went and jumped up into Daddy's chair, sat down, laid down, and went to sleep because, his little feet weren't moving anymore. Okay. And then there's Ben, who's just decided to be a loner all of a sudden. He likes to hang out by himself, and it didn't used to bug me, but then I was like, well, that's what Coral was doing before she went. Although that shouldn't bug me so much because Coral liked hanging out by herself. Where her brothers can't bug her and... Anyway, where her brothers can't bug her, she liked that. And, I'm thinking that should have bothered me more, I think, but it didn't, because that was just normal for her. And it's normal for Ben, but now I'm kind of like, well, is he hiding because, he's in pain and he's not telling me, and I don't know, but, I go and pick him up and he's okay. He's fine. Or he's just not telling me. But I think he's fine. It's just I go into worry mode when it comes to my kitty cats, because they're my kids. And I think I should be more worried that our refrigerator sounds like it's sending Morse code all the time. So, we're watching this episode of a TV show called Heart to Heart. And the reason why it's called that is because it's a husband and wife team that do detective stuff. And sometimes or all the time? Yeah, okay, so I think sometimes, based on this one episode, sometimes there's a murder involved. And not all the time, though. Because there's this one episode where, the husband and wife are Jonathan and Jennifer. So, I will totally forget what I was actually talking about. What I was actually thinking about to begin with. By the time I'm done with this. But, yeah, because what was I thinking of? I know it was Heart to Heart, and I know it was that, but what was I connecting it up to? So I was talking about the cats, and there are kids, and then I was thinking about that episode in Heart to Heart, but I can't think of what my point was. Anyway, there's an episode in there where Jonathan is told that he has a son, but he really doesn't. This lady and this bad guy type got married and had a son, and she's always told him that Jonathan Hart was his dad because they knew each other back when Jonathan was in the military. I think he was in the military. It was something about, it was like something about husband and wife teams, and I have no idea what I was talking about. I almost wish I could go and watch this video real quick and see what I was talking about. I don't know. That's an imaginative number. Hold on, that does say Carson City. Hello?
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 Good morning, my name is Rebecca. Your Medicare record triggered a state.
I don't have Medicare records. I will not listen to it. I was a little bit worried that maybe the eyeglasses place had a phone number that wasn't showing up as what it should have been. Because I really want to get used to my glasses. Sounds like I'm going to have to wear them all the time. And I'm prepared to do so if it helps my eyes, It's going to get annoying, I know it, but I'm, prepared for that. So, I want to get used to them before we go to the birthday party, because they said it takes about 2 weeks to get used to them. It's not like put them on once, go, oh, this ain't going to work, and it's get used to them. So, and I don't think that the lady understood how far away I am from my monitor either, but, trying to explain it to her that my monitor was, over here, but I didn't say how far. I was trying to explain that there's a table and then and then there's my monitor, but she wasn't, her body language was saying that she wasn't really listening. I'm not right up on my computer like, most people are. I'm a little far away from it. But anyway, it's supposed to be that the bottom part of my glasses is the look at the computer, or the look at the the look at the computer, or the look at the phone, or whatever, It's supposed to be that. and then the rest of it is supposed to be the, distance so I can play my video games. And, hopefully see that person in black before I run them over if I'm driving at night, which I pretty much refuse to do. At the moment, it's more of a fear thing, but it's safer for everybody that is stupid enough to wear black when they're out and about at night. I don't care what color you're wearing during the day. It's just, at night, it's smart to not wear black. If you're, walking. So, anyway. Because I almost hit somebody once. And it was, if I hadn't hit the brakes at the time that I did, I would have hit them. And I wouldn't have been able to explain what happened. But I know what did happen is there was a bunch of trees. So it's kind of dark in that corner. But thank God there was a street light and they got into the light part they started to get into the light part as I was turning, so I was able to see them. But before that, I could not. So we just decided I'm not allowed to drive at night. And then all of a sudden it was my husband's not allowed to drive at night either. He's not comfortable with it. So it's like, I hope we don't have to go anywhere after dark, But yeah, we have the hotel room all figured out for going to the birthday party. We just gotta get enough gas money and food while we're down there money. And I really don't trust that they're gonna have enough food, because I don't see them getting pizza for Grandma's birthday. I don't think they're gonna have enough food that I can actually eat at Grandma's birthday party, because Grandma is from Louisiana. So she eats like Louisiana food, and a lot of that food is too spicy for me to eat. But on the other hand, maybe they'll just have regular picnic kind of food, like hot dogs, hamburgers, and potato salad. I don't know. I am hoping that it's hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad, maybe deviled eggs where you boil them and cut them in half and put the goo in them. I don't know how you make that goo. It's good goo, but I don't know how you make it. Stuff like that. I'm hoping it's stuff like that. But I'm getting my mind around it could be stuff like gumbo, chicken and dumplings, stuff that maybe I cannot eat. Or stuff that's not filling enough to my stomach, Oh, and chips, there's always chips. Hey, and I'm pretty happy because I can eat Cheetos and bread and, I've been having peanut butter toast like every morning because it's so easy to make. Only problem is that there's one store that has it, and it doesn't have a big jar. It has a little jar of the honey roasted Skippy. So we may go and see if we can get a big jar while we're down there. I haven't told my husband that yet. I'm pretty sure that if honey roasted Skippy is a thing in California that they'll probably have the bigger jar. Oh! We didn't think to look at Food Max. Oh my gosh. I just thought of that. Okay, so now that I can eat bread, we need to go see if we can... I don't eat very much, by the way. You know, because I'm pretty sure there's somebody watching this, so it's going to be going, carbs! You know. Well, I don't eat very much. I eat, 2 slices a day, and that's it. It was something, though. Like, when you're a kid in school, they go and have that nutrition day. I think they ought to have that, reminder courses throughout the school year. That might help. That might actually help. Because there's kids that are like candy, 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 and donuts and cakes and, sugary stuff. And then there's other kids that, stay skinny because they don't get to have as much, So, I mean, I'm not saying just because you're going to have, candy and sweets, like donuts and stuff, that you're going to get heavy, but, they say it's a contributing factor. There we go. Anyway, they say it's a contributing factor, so in case it is, just, like, try to cut down, I would say. Actually, I found out that one of the things that makes me, because they're starting to realize that certain people have certain triggers that their body doesn't like, and that's what is causing them to get overweight, So, for me, one of the things is dark sodas, like Coca-Cola and, Pepsi, root beer, stuff like that. So, I usually try to have raspberry tea if I go out. But, there's certain places that raspberry tea is not available, or it's the wrong brand, because I only like Brisk. And we went somewhere recently where Brisk was available, and I couldn't remember if that was the one I liked, so I didn't have it. I just went with Coca-Cola. But I've noticed that my stomach kind of looks like I'm pregnant, and obviously I'm not, so I'm trying to cut out dark sodas. Actually, I'm just trying to cut out soda in general, but it's like, okay, what else is there? Because my mom said that juice is fattening also, and I noticed that. Pregnant women sometimes get a craving, or, or, like, maybe they get a craving, like, all through their pregnancy. Yeah, that was apple juice with my daughter. Apple juice, apple juice, apple juice. So, for a while there, Mom was like, yeah, you keep getting apple juice. You keep getting apple juice. Why don't you try getting some other flavors? I'm like, fine. It's like, because Ashley wants the apple juice. I love apple juice. I really do. It has to be cold, and I do not like apple cider. It doesn't, it doesn't taste right. To me. I know a lot of people are like apple cider, at Christmas time because it just tastes so good, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. And I didn't like the one time, like I don't like hot cocoa that much anymore because everybody doesn't make it right. I don't know how they made it when we were kids, but it tasted a hay of a lot better. A hay of a lot better. Like you wanted hot chocolate all the time when you were a kid. And now it tastes like water and something that's supposed to be chocolate. And you get the one with the marshmallows and it tastes a little better, but still. And what was that other one I was talking about? Oh, okay. I was looking. Okay, so I got YouTube playing silently in the background. Unfortunately, I fell asleep with it still running, so I gotta, back it up to whatever video I was watching last. But I was looking at I was looking at the video, and she's got what looked like a Lunchables. I didn't understand. It looked like a really thick walled Lunchables, and I'm like, what is she doing? And then she like put like breadsticks in it. And so I was like, really, what is, who is this? What is she doing? I was expecting it to, for some reason, I was expecting it to be Penny the Talking Cat's mom. Uh, Penny does not talk. Penny, their daughter, I think, provides the voice. And so they have her, they have her do a script, and and I don't know why they started this, but they've got one of those cats that is like very expressive, I guess, even though they're making no sounds at all. So so she decided to make little videos of it, share it with everybody else, and sometimes they're entertaining, sometimes. And like even though I should probably unsubscribe, I just keep them on there. But yeah, I was watching a bunch of the videos yesterday and not being able to concentrate on my story as much, so I think I'm going to turn off all media except for my story, and I'm going to turn off the video game, I'm going to turn off the video on the computer, and just focus on the computer and get that done, because I need to do a major rewrite. I want to go and make it's her motorcycle. And at first it was the horse because she couldn't drive. She couldn't drive because she's not old enough, but she's old enough to get her American motorcycle license. I found out she is not old enough to get her Irish motorcycle license. You have to be 18. So she's not 18, and so she would not be able to get her license. But I didn't know that. And I pretty much go with unless I know better, I go with American rules because 'cause that's what I know. So when I'm writing my books, I'll quite often go with American rules, but with some things, I go and check what the rules are in that country, because like technically, Sean can drink at 18 years old in Ireland. And you have to be 21 in America. So I was going to go with the 21 idea, and then I was like, that doesn't work because he can drink when he's 18. Dang it. Yeah. I don't know what age you have to be to carry a gun or to own a gun in Ireland, and now that I'm thinking about that, I probably ought to look that up. But like everybody in the house has a gun because of the enemy pirates or the mafia bosses from New York, or whatever. Whatever else might want to break into the house. Yeah, I just thought of that. Their house is pretty close to the base of Banshee Hill. And I never have Mama come down, go into that forest with her two twins, and try to get food from the mansion. Ooh! Maybe that's what. Oh, I better. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, so I keep telling my husband that there's like two houses in the space where the mansion was. I mean, where the mansion is. There's two houses there used to be two houses in that space. So there was like Morgan's dad, Daniel's dad's house, and their neighbor up the street. But it's like up a country road. So like the next neighbor's 5 miles away or 2 miles away or something like that. Anyway, down the road. So probably a mile or two. I don't know. I can't really gauge how many miles it is when I build it in Minecraft. But I was thinking that second house, when William lived in a house down the street from where the mansion is, it was kind of more like the house on Little House on the Prairie. And so maybe it's maybe it's that they were living there, and the reason why they're back with Morgan and everybody later in the storyline is because Mama did come over, and I don't even know if that place has electricity. Probably has a generator. But when I was so I was having a dream about this. They're living in the house, and it's yeah, okay, so I think we're done. Yay. Anyway, so they're living in that place, and it's like they're eating by a lantern light, and stuff like that. So I don't really know if it had electricity, but, like, they probably, like, I'm thinking that, eventually Morgan was probably, insisting that they get a generator and, and, well, uh, William was trying to, um, William was trying to get a job, but, they kept telling him he's a pirate, so they don't want to give him a job, right? Or, like, if he does get a job, he has it for, like, a day and then, walks away with his money at the end of the day, and then, the next day he's looking for some other job. So eventually they're going to give up and say, let's just go back to Morgan. But, like, they're still going to go away during the summer and stuff. It's just that he wants to try to live on his own for a while, and, he wants to try to live on his own for a while, and, um, so it ends up that they're at, so they're at that house because that's the only house that they could afford or something, and or maybe they're renting it. I don't know. It would probably be better if it was theirs though, because then it can burn to the ground and no problems. But ooh, that would be okay. So, like, there's a clearing in the woods. Most woods have a clearing at some point. Um, or at least the ones on movies do. And what was I doing? Anyway, most woods have a clearing on movies and TV shows and stuff. So the character can, get their bearings, or just stand there and go, I don't know where I am. Have that drama moment. See, I told you I wanted to end the stream like half an hour ago, and or over half an hour ago, and then all of a sudden I come up with something. Still have no idea what my point about heart to heart was. But anyway, yeah, and then I lost my point, and I lost what I was just saying. Oh yeah. So anyway, maybe the spot where the clearing is like the foliage has come back, or maybe it's still gone. I don't know. Anyway, maybe the thing of it is that ooh, look, it's raining. Anyway, maybe it's simply that is the spot where the house burned down, and there's one lone tree in the middle, because I'm like, he needs a inspiration spot. Here, we'll just go up here. Anyway, he needs a spot for inspiration, and there's supposed to be a tree there, and he like sits under the tree, and all of a sudden he knows what to draw. Because artists need inspiration, you know. Anyway, so he knows what to draw, and then they find out that he's been drawing Ashley this whole time, you know. Um, thing is, though, that when they're moved out, I would think that Sean and Jesse would be upset because they're not near Ashley and Chantel. You know, because they've been best friends all their lives. And I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to come up with that. That sounds like a good idea. That the reason why they went back to the house is that the house that they lived in, um, caught on fire because the bear. That sounds like a really good idea. Maybe it was during a storm, or before they got the generator or something. And well, no, it can't be before they got the generator, because if I said that Morgan insisted that they get a generator, unless something happened and the generator wasn't working, and William's too proud to get Morgan involved at that point, because he's just as good a mechanic as Mitch is, and but he knows he's not. Yeah, like when you're trying to live out on your own like that, it's like yeah, it's like you've got that pride that you can do this on your own, and you don't need any help, and stuff like that. I couldn't think of a movie where that happened. So, well, kind of. Um, actually, yeah, Cocktail with Tom Cruise and that other guy. Can't think of his name. Anyway, and yeah, I can't think of her name either. Never mind, I just can't think of her name. Um, I, Maybe Elizabeth Shue? I don't know. But anyway, he was trying to make it on his own, so he went to college so he could try to learn business stuff. And the teacher was just being a jerk. A big jerk. It's like those who can't do teach. And so he's teaching, but he's like making fun of everybody because the one person, makeup for dogs, they're not so pretty, so makeup. And and the one lady wants to make baked goods, and then Brian wants to start a bar, but he wants to make it um a franchise, so it's in every suburban shopping mall. um and they want to call it Cocktails and Dreams. And um so the teacher, like I said, can't, if you can't do, teach. And um he's like, do you plan to provide the drunks for every bar? And he didn't say it exactly that way, but close enough. And Brian just decides, you know what, I quit. Because he's got a nice job tending bar at helping tend bar. There's two bartenders. Um, and that is the hardest thing to try to explain. With my um Pirate's Daughter book, is that there's two bartenders. Usually there's uh, us- yeah, usually there's one bartender, except for in Cheers there's two, because there was, never mind, I don't remember the names. Well, I know Woody, but the other one, I don't remember his name. His last name's Malone. Sam. That's his name. Sam Malone. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, there's Sam and Woody, and they were the ones tending bar. But then they had a waitress, Diane, and at one point they had Rebecca, um, who they called Becky. I think they called her Becky. Anyway, they said in one episode, uh, backseat Becky, and I don't know why that stuck, but but um but for some reason that stuck, and um like my father-in-law and my husband will bring it up every once in a while, and I don't remember seeing that episode, or if I did, it just went woo over my head. So yeah. Anyway, we've gotten to the point where that project that we were trying to get done is done, and this project is going to be a long time coming to finish. Look, we got a cow and a chicken. Um, thing is though, I think that's one kind of cow and a different kind of chicken. Like it's the summer chicken or whatever you actually call it, and like the winter cow. I may be wrong. Anyway, so I write books. They are available on Amazon in hardback, paperback, and ebook. Pirate's Daughter, Misfortune, and Hard Times are all $26 for the hardback. Esperanza's Party is $24. The Island is $25, and Lessons in Love is $27. My series Adopted is not available in hardback at the moment. For the title Coral. They are all going to be about 26 pages, so none of them individually will be available on hardback, just so you know. I will probably go and take Coralbin and Sam and put it together as a book, and then have Bobby and the next two cats in the next book. So we can have a hardback, but I don't know yet. We may just keep it the way it is. Anyway, and then for paperback, Coral's book is $6. It's just $6. You are not going to get that deal at Walmart or Target or anywhere, because most children's books start at $10 nowadays. So anyway, Coral's book is only $6, and the others are $20. All 6 of them. And then for the ebooks, so you can put that on your phone, you can put that on your tablet, you can put that on your iPad. I don't know if you can put it on a smartwatch. That would be pretty tiny writing, but you probably could. But like I said, I don't know if you can. So anyway, Pirate's Daughter and Esperanza's Party are $3.05. Coral's book is $2.99. and then all the others are 5. And okay, so I was like, okay, how much am I trying to get out of each book? And for the paperbacks and hardbacks, I'm trying to get $5. So that is why the pricing is the way it is. And for the ebooks, I'm just trying to get $2 out of it. So that's why that's the price that it is. I'm trying to do a thing where, most YouTubers will go buy my merch, buy my merch, buy my merch, but they don't go and tell you how much that merch is. And then they go and come up with ridiculous things where if you buy like say 3 things, you can get a 10% discount. And then if you buy 5 things, you can get a 20% discount. And they make it sound so good. But what if you only have the money to buy one thing? You're going to feel bad that you're not buying their merch. And, then on the other hand, what if you don't have money to buy their thing at all? But, maybe you didn't want to get more than just a backpack and, like say they got a backpack. Maybe you don't want to get more than just that backpack. You're not going to get a deal, the 10% or the 20% discount. So then you're going to be thinking, I'm getting robbed for this, and you're really not. Anyway, at the moment, I am not able to do a discount thing, and if I went and tried to put 2 of my books together in one, I think I could do it. I really do think I could do it, but the problem is that would be like, certain books. It would definitely be certain books, and, like maybe Esperanza's Party and The Island. And then, like, I definitely don't think I could do Lessons in Love and something, because that's a pretty big book, too. Because right now I'm publishing with Amazon, and the problem is that you've got an 800-page limit, and I don't necessarily like that, because what if I want to write what if I want to write a huge book um, like Goblet of Fire or Order of the Phoenix? If I wanted to write a really big book like that, or like, it really should have, okay, so it really should have been that Esperanza's Party, The Island, and Lessons in, well, no, should have been that Esperanza's Party and The Island were together, and then, as one book, and then Lessons in Love and maybe Test and Love should be together. Or actually, Lessons in Love, Test and Love, Caught, and Solitary should all be together, but they're not, because, it's like scene change in a movie. Like maybe they, okay, I will use Home Alone as a scenario, actually. Like they're at home, and they're getting ready to go on the trip, and then they, run to the airport, and they get there, and they run to the airport. They get there. They get there just in time. They ran all the way to the gate, and they didn't actually have all the kids, but that's not the point here. And So like a scene change would be they got to France. So it's like that. But technically they should have all been together because they're still all part of them dating. So then Solitary and Sweet Revenge, and all those um could have been the next book. But the problem is that you know the 800-page limit. Um, another example of that at the moment is when Ashley's husband takes over the ship. Um, that whole summer should have been one book, but it ends up being two different books because it took up so much room. I mean, it might have been even bigger than the biggest book, because it's a toss up between War and Peace and one of the Harry Potter novels. I don't know which one has more pages, but I think it's War and Peace. Pretty sure it's War and Peace. That was the original first longest book, Um, and I mean, because even the Bible only has, well, my copy of the Bible only has like 800 and something pages. It's less than 900, but um, it's like 836 or something like that. I'm not even sure. Um, but it only has like 800 something pages. So, um, there's people out there who go and try to say that the Bible has less pages than what it was intended to have. And I'm not entirely sure, but I was reading this one part and it says, wasn't it written in, you know, this book, and that book is not in my Bible. It's like, okay, labyrinth was the first word that popped into my head. So it's like, wasn't that written in the book of Labyrinth? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't read the book of Labyrinth, you know. But, I mean, it wasn't Labyrinth, but you get the idea. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't read that book. Um, so, so you get the idea of maybe there is something missing, and maybe there should have been more pages. I don't know. I hope nobody ever does that to any of my books. Like just cut out giant parts of the scene, to make it smaller so people buy it. That would be bad. Um, but I think I've got it set up that if like all of a sudden I passed away, my kids will get the profits from my books, and I'm hoping that they become that they become famous books, or at least um enough to pay the bills for the rest of our lives. That's all I'm really hoping for, is for them to pay the bills. Even when we get old and gray, and have those huge medical bills that older people have. I'm hoping that we're not going to be that bad, but I'm pretty sure we are, because we've both got bad knees, and I've got bad ankles and scoliosis, and I don't exactly know what scoliosis means, except for that my spine is not straight. It goes up to a spot where it goes out like a question mark and then comes back in again. It's weird. That's how Mom explained it to me, and I'm like, that's weird. interesting, weird, you know. It's like, what do you say about that? Yeah. And I never got like dropped as a baby or anything like that, so like I don't understand why that would happen. But anyway, I've got that, and then the family bad ankles, and the knees are having to walk to and from Walmart when it had been snowing a lot. So like the snow was 3 or 4 feet, something like that. Um, and I just didn't pick up my foot high enough, and fell bam right on the sidewalk, and that hurt like heck. And I don't know how we did it, because I think that was before we had I know it was before we had this chair. So anyway, I don't know how we did it, but we probably propped my foot up on a something, and the knee felt better. But I did that twice that year, and then the other time I tripped on air. The Did it 3 times, and the second time I just tripped on air. I don't know what the heck happened. Um, it was like I went to go pick up my foot, and I picked it up extra high, and then it was just like somebody came up and pushed me, but my husband did not push me, and there was nobody else around. So it was weird. Anyway, and then I have bad wrists, and I think I'm starting to get arthritis in my fingers. I don't know. I just know that they hurt every once in a while, and it's really annoying. And when you're trying to write a book, you can't work with that nonsense. And if I went and tried to have a program where I could speak to my computer, it wouldn't come out right. I just know it. It would not come out right. It works really good for me to have my brain thinking of it and then my fingers typing it out. Um, yeah. So anyway, so I told you about my books. Oh, if you're watching me on YouTube right now, please like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, and please get those valid public watch hours up. If you're watching me on Twitch right now, please follow and chat. I love talking, seriously, I love talking to people. I don't always pay attention to the computer, but, because I'm playing on my Xbox, so that means I'm watching a TV to have my, I'm, using an Xbox to talk to the TV to, with the controller, and playing this game. So, there's a whole bunch of computer people that are like, oh my gosh, how can she do that? She's using a controller, that's so hard. And there's, for me, it sounds very, very complicated to play it on computer. Because you got to remember that you got to press the E key, the, ASDF, whatever key you got, doing the whatever, doing the place in the blocks thing. And, or like maybe ASDF at the same time, so you could do the quad jump or whatever. I don't know if I just made that up or not. But anyway, doing your parkour jump. So I don't. I just don't know. But anyway, I think that's harder. But I don't always look over at the computer, which is to my left. But I do love talking. I don't get to talk to very many people who actually, talk, I've got my 3 cats. They meow. Um, Actually, they don't. Okay, they don't say the word. I mean, Sam says the word meow, but cats don't actually meow. They kind of like make a meow sound or something like that. So they don't actually meow, but that's what they call it. um, so I made sure that both of the bowls this morning had food in them, all the way to the top, and hopefully that'll last until next month. And after that, my husband fixed the food bowl again because hers keeps falling apart. I swear I'm about to put duct tape on that thing. I don't need the bottom to fall off, I don't. It's got you fill it up um, by taking the top off. So I don't need it to do the other thing. It does not make sense to me why they even did that. But it's not all one piece and it's annoying. Anyway, so I guess we will. Okay. If 10:30 doesn't come before I'm done with this project, I'm just going to give up on it. But we'll get as much of just this section here done as possible. Cuz you saw that there's 2 more layers of that over there. Whatever gets done first wins. You know, if I get done with this before 10:30, then I'll end it there. And if 10:30 shows up first, then that's when that'll get done. Yeah, I'm trying to stick to that because I got my book chapter all pieced out. So there's the narrator pieces, there's the Ashley pieces, there's the Sean pieces, and there's even I kind of screwed up when I wrote that though. There's even a piece in there um where somehow the garage opened for some reason. Nobody came in or out, but the garage opened, and they could see. The garage door opened, and you could see Angel, and he said, "Yes, you two should date." So, yeah, I don't. Um, Anyway, I got it all pieced out like that, and I'm gonna have to rewrite parts of it, parts that I've already turned into an audio, because I decided, there's no way. It's a 2-hour movie. Okay, it takes an hour to get to town. It takes an hour to get to town, and then on top of that, 2 hours for the movie. Because just, in my head, all movies are 2 hours. Um, Although, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think, was an hour and a half. And I think the movie Clue was an hour and a half or something like that. Not very long. Um, but on the other hand, there's also one of the Lethal Weapon movies is like 2 hours and 36 minutes. I just assumed that all movies were 2 hours, and me and my dad ended up having a small argument because, oh, yeah, okay. Because he knew I did record on the VCR and I didn't. It was playing on TV and I wanted to be able to watch it later, and that was a thing that you did in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And then all of a sudden you could put on TiVo or other recording devices like it. So, yeah. Anyway, um, it's almost 10:30 and I got everything I needed to do done. Wow. Okay, so maybe sometime during the week. I mean, it'll probably be definitely. I don't know if I'm going to fill this in as this or if I'm just going to leave it dirt. I kind of like it as the dirt, where it's got, different patterns and it looks, interesting. Although I may go and take, the oars out. But I do have to. Oh, that's something I gotta do. I'm not doing it today. I'm just showing you. Um, See, this needs to be filled in all the way down to the bedrock. I don't know what I'm gonna fill it in as. Anyway, I like it being the dirt over here, and that goes over to here where the ship is. But maybe next time we'll go back to coloring houses again, or maybe I'll just, finish the chapter that I'm on right now and start coloring the houses, and whatever we're doing when we get back the next time is what we're going to be doing. I don't know. Anyway, I will see you in the next. Hold on. Okay. I will see you in the next stream or video. Just because. I think it's the bedrock one. Yeah. No!